Hi guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a paracord bullwhip like this one. If you follow this tutorial you should end up with a bullwhip about between 7 and 8 feet in length, which is about average for a bullwhip. Depends on how long you make the fall at the end of the tutorial, but it does crack and it is loud. So let's get started.
renderforest.com.
Okay guys, so there's going to be some stuff you're going to need to make this project with. And first thing, paracord. Second thing, more paracord. Okay, you can't have too much paracord for this project. It's entirely based on it. It depends on how much long you want to make your whip, but definitely get as much of that as you can. That's about 140 feet. Also, colours are up to you, but obviously you can make interesting patterns if you get more than one colour. The contrast is always good as well, you know. High contrast makes it look cooler. Next thing, got a little cardboard package here filled with steel BBs. Those are going to be important for making the whip as heavy as possible. And last thing really, steel rod to act as the handle. I got this off eBay for like £2 or £3. They're not that expensive. You can also use 8 or 9 inch nails. Doesn't really matter, you can even use a piece of wood as long as you've got something rigid to act as the handle. You're also going to need some electrical tape, a tape measure, and something to cut the paracord with. I'm just going to be using my trusty Victorinox Huntsman. Now this is a phenomenal knife and this will cut through that easily, so yeah, let's get started on the build. Okay guys, so since showing you everything that you're going to need for this, what I've done is taken a metal rod and taken a metal file, and I'm not sure how well you can see this, and filed a groove into it just there. Okay, that's not super important that you do that. Okay, so you're going to want to cut, the first thing you're going to want to do is cut 4 lengths of your paracord. You're going to want the first one to be 2 meters long, the second one to be 1 meter long, then 80 centimeters, and then 50 centimeters. These 4 lengths are then going to form the core of your whip. You're going to want to tape these to the handle, and then we're going to do a braid over the top of it, and then a second braid over the top of that, and those are going to be the 2 plaited bellies. And that's how we're going to go about building this whip. So these are the strands all cut to length. 2 meters, 1 meter, 80 centimeters and 50 centimeters. Next thing to do is going to be to remove the inners from some of them but not all of them, okay? So for my version of this whip build, what I'm going to do is remove 1 meter of the inners from the longest strand, and I'm going to replace that with BBs, metal BBs, and then I'm going to leave the inners in the other ones and wrap it all in tape. A lot of people leave the inner in the longest one and fill these with BBs. I only bought 100, so I don't have enough BBs to do that. If you don't have BBs, you can use steel chain with the balls on it. That works really well as well. But I don't have any of that, so it looks like yeah, we're going to be going for this method and hoping it works. Okay, so what you should now be left with is a strand that is half hollow and half has the inners in. And what you want to do straight away is take a lighter and burn the side with the innards in to make sure that those innards stay in place. That should keep the innards in place nicely. And now the next step is going to be filling up the paracord with the steel BBs. And I am actually I'm gonna singe this end as well because I can already feel it coming apart. Now that the core is loaded up with the steel BBs, it's now a shot loaded core. What we're going to do is we're going to take some of these paracord innards and we're going to tie off where the steel BBs end to make sure it can't move up. I'm going to go around that a couple of times. Now that you've tied it off, you're going to take some electrical tape and just go around the knot. And then we're going to take a lighter and singe the other end closed. Just like that. Okay. What I'm going to do is take the 3 shorter strands which still have the innards inside them and get attacked by a puppy. Hello. Okay, go ahead and pull the innards out of all 3 of those strands and put them aside for now. And then we're going to go ahead and attach all of this to the handle. But we've got the bar with the round stock with the groove cut into it. And we're now going to take all of our lengths of paracord, including this one. We're going to make sure we have the shot loaded end closest to the whip itself. Yeah, so we're going to make sure they're all lined up on the bar, and then we're going to take these paracord innards and tie it down like we did before. Pull it as tight as you possibly can, because we want to make sure that this doesn't come loose while you're cracking and come off the handle. While building a bullwhip doesn't require a lot of tools, which is good for a first project or something, you know, if you don't have a lot of tools, this is a great project. It is really, really fiddly. And we haven't even got to the hard bit yet. This is all just the prep. This is supposed to be the easy bit. It's a laborious process of taping all the way up to the end of the second and longest strand, so all the way to there with electrical tape. I've seen a lot of while I've been researching how to make a bullwhip, I've seen a lot of professional whip makers who are very much against the use of electrical tape in a bullwhip, but seeing as this is mostly for personal use, it shouldn't be a problem. So, if all that has gone correctly, you should have something that looks vaguely like a whip. I forgot to mention it earlier, but make sure you seal off the ends of the strands you put in the middle. I mean, it shouldn't matter too much, I guess, if you do forget, because they are sealed in by the tape, but do try and remember, you know. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do, now that you've got the core of your whip, is to stretch it out and then using a plank of wood, just roll along the length of it. Now that you've done that, it's time for braiding the first plait. So let's get started. Okay, so this is going to be the first plaited belly. So we've cut the same lengths that we did before to make the core of the whip. So 2 meters is the orange one, 1 meter the first black, 80 centimeters, then 50 centimeters. I've kept the orange one like this, you can see how it goes. I've removed the cores from all of these, and I'm going to seal all of the ends as well. Okay, so we're going to begin the process of plaiting it now, or plating it. What you do is you take the back left strand, you come under 2 strands, and then over 2 strands, so it sits like that. And then you do the same thing again, but on the other side. So this time it's back right, under these 2 strands, over those 2 strands. Then you continue with this one, under those 2, over those 2. Make sure it's properly secured in the vise when you're doing this.
Right, and again, under those 2, over those 2. And then you're just going to keep doing that all the way up the length of the whip.
Okay, so as you can see, I've got these strands and the handle plaited. I've now cut two 5 meter lengths, a 3 meter length, and a 4.3 meter length of paracord, which is there on the floor, and that's now going to be plaited on over the top of that as the second plaited belly. So it's going to be the same process again, and I'm definitely going to have to buy more paracord. So yeah, same process again, but with longer cords this time. Very time consuming. Hi, this is me from the future, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to drop strands, which is an important part of the process for when your strands get too short. You just lay them flat and continue the pattern over them. For the inner core, it then becomes over 2, under 1. No, under 2, over 1. So yeah. So guys, it's been a day, but this is the whip we have so far. And after one quick Amazon Prime delivery, we should be ready to get back into business.
Yeah, all that cardboard, finish roll of paracord.
Definitely necessary. This should be enough to finish the whip. This is another 100 feet, so it's going to have taken about 240 feet in the end. Or thereabouts. This is going to be the final core now that we're the final belly, I mean, that we're plaiting now. So this is going to be the bit where you want to alternate colours as much as possible. So I've got the bright orange here to make it look as fancy as possible. I mean, if you want, you can always do another plait over this, but this is going to be where I'm stopping. So for this layer, we're going to want 2 7 1/3 meter sections, 1 5 1/3 meter section, 1 5 meter section, 1 4.3 meter section, and 1 3 meter section. Okay, and then we're going to be doing the same plait again, all the way down as far as possible, except this time with 6 strands, so it's going to be under 3 over 3. Let's get started. You want to make sure to do that so it doesn't start to fray, because this is going to be the outside layer of your whip. So this is going to be the part that everyone sees and the part you're going to want to look the nicest. Seeing as I was getting bored as well, not being able to work on this, I decided to add a little embellishment, 3D printer skull for the end of it. This is going to help as well, because it's going to give me something to stop the paracord slipping off the end of the piece of the handle. Obviously if you don't have a 3D printer, you can just use a piece of wood or a piece of metal or something on the end to stop the paracord slipping off, which might make it easier. I just used a 2-part epoxy to stick this in place, which would work with basically any other material as well. Obviously if you used a nail, you'd already have the nail head there, which would stop it slipping off and probably help this work a lot better. But seeing as those proved really tricky to find, the round stock with the skull on it is my option. Plus I think that looks really great. So, now I'm going to do the final belly. Got all the strands cut to length, so yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so before we get started on the final belly plait for this, there is going to be one more step, which is going to be taking some of these inner strands that we've got left over, which you will have a ton of, and wrapping them tightly around where the handle, the metal handle meets the rest of the whip. So it's going to be just about there, and then we're going to tape over that with some strong tape, either duct tape or electrical tape is my recommendation. And that's just going to reinforce it and stop the handle poking through here or damaging the paracord after some use. As you can see, these are all of the strands for the outer belly. They've all been cut, the ends have been sealed with, the ends have been removed, the ends have been sealed with a lighter. And then what I've done is I've found the middle point and marked it with this white pencil, which was the only thing I had that would show up on the black. It's really important to find the center point on each one to make this plait as even as possible. But now that we've done that, it should be time to begin. And this is going to be really tricky. All the lines are lined up. Oops. And the pattern here is going to be under 3 over 3. When you're doing the outermost layer of the whip and dropping these strands, the pattern for it actually becomes under 3 over 2. So, yeah. Okay, so the final pattern, once you've got to going over 1, under 1, and once you've got to almost the end, as you can see I've still got quite a bit of the whip itself left, but once you got to almost the end of these strands, what you're going to want to do is take a separate length of paracord, about an arm's length of it, and you're going to want to tie that over this, and you're going to do that by tying a slip knot into the end of it, and passing it over all of the strands that you've currently got, and then cinching it down nice and tight just below it. You're then going to begin to tie all of these strands onto this final strand. You're going to do this using a half hitch knot. And then you're going to tie the final inner piece as well in the same manner to the fall which you've now attached. Okay, so it should end up looking like this, and you'll have a lot of these leftover spidery bits from tying all of this. So what you can do is trim these off and singe them and press them down with a lighter to seal them shut again. The fall, because it's going to be the part of the whip with the most force, it's actually quite important to make sure you leave the innards in your paracord sound and goes right at the end. So this is the final part of the whip, and what you're going to want is a piece of the innards, which you should have plenty of by now. I've managed to fill up a full 3D printing spool with them. But you take about 6 inches of them, only 3 strands though, pinch it in the middle, twist one side, hold it and keep it twisted, then twist the other side in the same direction, and that's really important that it's in the same direction. Hang on. There you go, and what should happen is that when you let go, it stays twisted and you get a loop at one end. So now what you're going to want to do is tie a knot at this end to make sure it doesn't come untwisted. Once you've done that, you're going to take the fall of your whip, you're going to make a loop with it like this. You're going to pass the loop of your cracker through, and then that loop that should have formed on the end, although it may be really quite messy, you want to pass your fall through that loop. And then you want to form a knot just like this, which is going to hold the cracker in place. As you can see, I'm going as close to the end as I possibly can to eliminate needing to cut and burn the rope again. Pulling that as tight as you possibly can. And that should be one completed bullwhip. Only step left now is to test it. Also, as you can see, my skull got a little muddy, so he's going to need cleaning up as well. Well, that's the bullwhip finished. Okay, so depending on how long you made the fall, you should have a bullwhip that's between 7 and 8 feet in length, and it should crack loudly. Now, when you want to crack it, what you want to do is flick it out behind you, and before it touches the ground, when it's in a straight line behind you as you flick it back, you want to pull it forwards and try and send a wave down it, and that should make a nice crack for you. But that's the completed bullwhip. And if you want to see a video testing it out on destroying different things, I should be making one of those soon. So yeah, there is one final step actually that you can do to it. Now, after you finish braiding it, I would suggest taking a flat piece of wood like we did earlier and laying the whip out flat on a flat surface and rolling along the length of it with that piece of wood to round it and just make sure all the strands are correctly in place and tightly knotted, and that just makes it nice and round and adds to the finished product. So yeah, that's this done. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and see you next time.